Hello, everybody. We are Geeks Assembled. It's Sixth Doctor week on the channel today, so let's hoist up our skirts and go to season 22 as we review the Mark of the Rani. Who shall we start with today? Let's start with Craig and David. What do you think of the Mark of the Rani? Opening thoughts.
Hello, my dear fellow. Would you like to put this sweet meat into your mouth and swallow?
Buy me a drink first, Craig.
Only in Mark of the Rani would
you get a line like that.
Lines like that.
It was quite
Yeah, it was a
Shakespearean,
bit of-
wasn't it? You know, we were
yeah.
just talking.
He thought
Yeah.
the master was Shakespeare.
You know, like there's a lot of Shakespearean quotes in it, like Hamlet. You know, what was that one sort of more dreamt of in your philosophy? There are more things in heaven and earth than dreamt in your philosophy, and I thought it was quite nice. And but yeah, it's it. I'm not really a big late Doctor Who fan. I do like William Hartnell, and I tend to sort of go for that period around there. But I really thought Mr. Mr. Colin Baker was brilliant, man. Honestly,
Peri, I mean, she.
And of course, the beautiful
rhubarb and custard is what I call her in this one.
And the American lady, who's not American lady, his assistant. Quite nice.
But Kate O'Mara, the Rani, I love Pip and Jane Baker's creation. Whether the writing was good or not, he is just one of my favourite villains in classic Who. Absolutely love her. Yeah. And I love her TARDIS. I don't know why it resembles a Dalek, but I still like it anyway.
It's brilliant, you know. It's also got a similar feel to Superman when they're actually they have him on they have Joel on sort of like a trial, and there's two spinning discs, and it's exactly the same thing. If you remember back, like, and also the Geordie accent or the Northern accent was a bit dodgy in parts because I come from Newcastle. You know?
David was in it. He was the little boy who they kicked the potatoes off.
Yeah, I was the one kicking the potatoes.
Actually, David when he was 3.
It says, "You've had your chips, chip off the old block." There's many sort of potato jokes I remember.
But that's back to you, Jake.
Thank you, Craig and David. Over to Susan. What's your first moment?
Well, it's not often that we get 3 Time Lords all in the same story without being on Gallifrey. And this is fun. It's so fun. And also it's really amazing, like, historical. I mean, there weren't many historicals after, well, I guess there were sprinkled through, but not, so I mean, this one's really like a special thing. It's a historical that doesn't have a lot to do with outer space or anything like that. It has to do with, you know, people's better angels and better demons or whatever, their own attitudes. And it also has to do with the very beginnings of the Industrial Revolution, which was freaking awesome, and like actually took place in that one city, in that one where it was set.
Killing with
they made a fictitious city name for it, but it was amazing. And Colin and Nicola had a lot of like physical activity to do because it was all shot on location, and so they had all these like sort of interesting action scenes. And apparently Colin did all of his own stunts. He's always bragging about that, which was awesome, super duper awesome. And you know, Kate O'Mara, who I first saw her not in this. I actually, the first time I ever saw her was in a show called Absolutely Fabulous, and she played Patsy Stone's sister. But yeah, like, what a cool actress she is, and what a cool lady she is, and how what a beautiful gravitas she brought to that character. I think that it was both, the writing or the creation of the Rani, but also Kate. I mean, I just have to like give credit where I think it's due as well. And Lee loves Anthony Ainley, so he'll probably be able to talk about him. But I've actually never met uh, Colin Baker or Nicola Bryant in any form other than like seeing them on a virtual con, and that to me is a grief in my heart because they are both really amazing people and really really super cool defenders of animals, defenders of people, just super progressive thinking and forward thinking beautiful people, and I really want to meet them and I haven't done it. So bucket list, that's my big bucket list thing.
Mhm.
And so with all of that said, I'm just glad we got a chance to watch this, and back over to you, Jake.
And now, to suck the positive enjoyment of this story out of the room, Lee, what are your opening thoughts of your favourite Doctor Who story?
Well, to start with, I've met all four of the main actors in this story, so that's just to upset Susan there.
I've met Peri.
I've met Peri and Colin.
Oh yeah, Peri, Colin,
I always
Anthony,
forget.
Kate.
You met Nicola.
Yeah. Very nice.
Great location. Blist Hills, Victorian Town Museum sort of thing. That was a good spot locating for this story. I can't stand Pip and Jane Baker's writing. They're awful writers. The only thing good they did for Doctor was create the character of the Rani. But I think Kate O'Mara did it herself. I think there was a blank page of the character Rani, and Kate O'Mara created the character herself through her acting. There was no point of the Master being in the story. He was shoehorned into it because, as far as I can remember, he was contracted to appear in later seasons of Doctor Who as in one story per season. And to me, this feels like this character was shoehorned into it because without him in it, it's still the same story. I don't get why he was put into this. As much as I love Anthony Ainley, he shouldn't have been in this because there was it was never explained why he was there, what he was doing there, why he was stood in a field dressed as a bloody scarecrow. It wasn't explained.
Where was his TARDIS?
You see, there's bad writing.
Mm.
Exactly, bad writing.
They need to make a new story where we see how him and the Rani get out of that TARDIS.
Coming soon from Big Finish Productions.
And also, I'm sorry, but dressing Nicola Bryant up in that stupid pantomime costume, what was J&T thinking?
Maybe they
That was
didn't.
ridiculous.
Maybe they didn't want Colin to look too bad.
No, but they said that was what all the people used to wear in those days. No, it wasn't. That was out of a pantomime
rhubarb
box.
and custard. One of them sweets.
I mean, I agree that the Rani's TARDIS is brilliant. Colin's acting is brilliant, but he's always been let down by bad writing. In the TV series, it was just bad writing all the time. Big Finish has done him wonders. Really creating great stories for him. And I love Colin. He's a great guy. But it's just a shame that his era was troubled times and so let down by bad writing. And for me, this is this story doesn't stand out for me. Great setting, great idea for a story. The Industrial Revolution and the Luddites. But I don't know. It's one of those ones I just don't like. I mean, the Master, as I say, why was he there? Was he only there to say several times, the Mark of the Rani? It's the Mark of the Rani.
Yeah.
He should have been in it. I'm sorry, Anthony, you shouldn't have been in it. And don't get me started on a rubber tree. Do not get me started on that, because that was goddamn awful.
They got that from
But
a troll.
over to you, Jake. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Over to you.
Thank you for that positive review. Now I'm going to disagree with Lee. This is my second favourite Collins story, and this story is in my top 5 Master stories. I love the Master in this.
You're insane.
I love the Master in this, and I think if the Master wasn't in it, we wouldn't have had such great interaction between the Doctor, the Rani, and the Master, which is my favourite thing about this story. I loved the acting in it. The script might have been dodgy in places, I agree with Lee there, but as a whole, I loved the fact that we had these 3 Time Lords who absolutely hate each other. They both have different outlooks on the universe. We've got the one who likes to save, the one that likes to destroy, and the one that likes to experiment. The Rani I put in the same category as the monk. She's not necessarily evil. She's just unethical, and has a mind of a scientist. And like Susan was saying earlier, and Lee, Kate O'Mara is superb in this story. I prefer her in this than I did in Time of the Rani, to be honest. She is so good in this story. She's such a good villain. And I think this is the only villain that Big Finish necessarily haven't done that well. I know, controversial, but yeah. But yeah, I find the Rani just as interesting as I do any other Time Lord. And I would like a story where we get to see their first proper interaction after Gallifrey, because obviously, the way she was talking to Colin, he's fucked up one of her experiments before, after Exile. So it'd be interesting to see Tom or Trelaw as Pertwee encountering the Rani and stopping the Deedis experiment. Obviously recast now, because what?
No, you don't have to recast it. You don't have to recast it. Just get John Coleshaw to do it.
Thank you, Lee. Yes, right. Let's go on. Let's go on to favourite moments. We'll start with Lee. What are your favourite moments from your favourite story?
My favourite moments. English costume. It was a good costume. Ainley's wig is a very good costume. Not a lot, because some of the acting in it was all goddamn awful. Which David had mentioned of the acting was just goddamn awful.
David was in it.
I did like the history part, as I say, with the Luddites, but also George Stevenson and the Rocket. Good little history thing there. But the only good thing about this was Kate O'Mara, for me personally. As I say, there was no background. This was the first time we'd ever seen her. But she knew that was the Doctor. She knew that was the Doctor, but they hadn't seen each other since the Academy. So how did you know that was the Doctor? I don't know, but one of those things. But yeah, Kate O'Mara was the best thing about this. Other than that, it was a load of crap.
Well, thanks, Lee, for another positive outlook. Susan, let's hope you've got better favourite moments than that.
I would disagree. I know that a lot of people, including the current showrunner, have leveled a ton of criticism on Pip and Jane Baker's writing. I
used to write with crayons.
I don't agree. But and that's why I think that Chibnall has some blind spots of his own. But I think that my favorite moments in this were the moment in the when I love all the action scenes. Like I said earlier, I love it when Colin is strapped to the cart and rolled down, and it looks like he was going to go right straight into the mine shaft, and that, I mean, that's incredible, because I know how far down those mine shafts go. I've done the thing. I've done the thing with the thing, and I think that his, you know, hanging there on the chain was really brave and really exciting, and I also like the bits where the Mara is experimenting on people, and she's got those.
The Rani.
Sorry, the Rani. Yes, you're right, and tubes attached to the neck, and then the green goo pouring over the Tyrannosaurus Rex. I mean, that was a good sort of science thing, and that was fun. And it was based in real science. Like, that's the thing, is the neurochemistry and that sort of thing. That was all based on real science, and the story was based in real history. So I mean, other than like trying to shoehorn some things into something, there was obviously, maybe, you know, it didn't have to be Doctor Who, but it just ended up being Doctor Who. Yeah, I think that they did a lot of really good stuff with that, the history and the science but I agree, the rubber tree was a little rubbish, and a little weird that it had this arm that would reach around, and that was just.
Yeah, it was pretty.
It wasn't. Let me tell you, the Ents in Lord of the Rings would have, like, you know, chucked that one into the flames of Mordor. The Ents, the tree shepherds would have dealt with that quite well. Yeah. Anyway, not to diverge into another fandom, but yeah, and Peri's costume was, I mean, it looked like Snow White. It didn't look like a proper dress from that time.
Yeah.
There were petticoats and skirts, yes, but not the colors, not that far up either. I mean, they were showing her ankles for crying out loud.
Scandalous for the time.
Scandalous for the time. But anyway, I liked it a lot for the intellectual reasons. And that's a lot of the reason why Doctor Who's better than a lot of other science fiction that's out there. So back over to you, Jake.
Thank you, Susan. Right, over to Craig and David, your favourite moments.
Okay. Well,
Colin Baker, I think he's a fantastic actor. And Peri, I like their relationship that is sort of on the edge. He's kind of grouchy, but kind of unpredictable as well. I like the historical setting.
Yeah.
My favourite scene is probably when Colin is on a stretcher, and then they're in those mines that are in the woods, and then the two people either end explode and turn into trees. I think that would be cool. That must have been a bit of a nightmare scene to set up. So I think, yeah, they pulled that off quite well. And Colin Baker didn't get exploded or anything, so he didn't get a sore ass. So, but you know the village, don't you?
Yeah. I was just sent to Craig. There was a place called Amish. Lee might know this, but
Killingsworth. And
it was saying it was set in Killingsworth, which is which is actually not that too far from County Durham. But the George Stevenson sort of reference, great, like for younger viewers, because it gets them interested in history now, And the first run was in Middleton Dode, because I used to know some people who used to live up in Darlington, and the actual part of the Rockets run went through Darlington, and they kept part of the track that went through the main village. It was really interesting, to see that piece of history. And then as soon as it came on and I heard the dodgy accents, as Lee was saying, like, where are you, bud? Like, it didn't even sound like they were from the north. Like, sounded more like somebody from RADA who was trying to be a Geordie, Well, that just looks like the right way, isn't it, darling?
I'll blow your bloody brains
I'll
out.
blow your bloody brains. Oh, yeah, that was the best one, yeah. I think that was my favourite scene. I'll blow your bloody brains out.
Right, thank you, Craig and David. Right. Is there anything anyone else wants to say about the story? No? Good. Right.
No,
Oh, sorry,
Adam,
Lee, I didn't see you waving frantically.
Adam, in this story, we learn that male Time Lords have genitalia in the same place as humans.
Ah.
From a knee jab from the Rani.
Thank you, Lee, for the fun fact.
My favourite bit is when the Tyrannosaurus Rex comes to life at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, thank you, Lee, for your fun fact. Not as good as last ones, but thanks for the same. My favourite moment is like Craig when he struck the trolley and he's rolling down the hill. It reminds me it's very reminiscent of Pertwee and Spirit and Space in the wheelchair. And it did make me giggle a bit. But yeah, I like this story. It's a bit of fun, to be honest. So, yeah. Is there nothing else anyone wants to say? No? Good. Right. So it's time for the end of our podcast with our final say and score. We'll start with Pip and Jane Baker's #1 fan, Lee Wilson. What do you give this out of 10?
Colin Baker, brilliant. Nicola Bryant, brilliant.
Yeah.
Kate O'Mara, brilliant. Anthony, brilliant, but he didn't need to be in it. Great setting. Historical wise, brilliant. It's just
Kate O'Mara should be a companion.
a goddamn awful mishmash of storytelling.
I know, but she would have been a great companion, wouldn't you?
Hang on, we can't hear Lee. Just a sec.
I'm gonna give it 5 Gallifreyan testicles out of 10.
Thank you, Lee. Right, over to Craig and David's final say and score, please.
Kate O'Mara rocks. I think it's a 9. I loved it.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a 9.
Right, thank you, Craig and David. It was nice having you while it lasted. Susan, final say and score, please.
All right. Well, I've enjoyed this. I've watched it a couple of times the past couple of weeks, and with great relish. It's fun. It's adventurous, and it's probably gonna get an 8.5 out of 10 for me. I think that there are some things that it lets down on, but not much. Fun.
Thank you, Susan. Right then, I really like this one. It's actually one of the first classic stories I ever watched. I've got a really good soft spot for it, so for that I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10, just to spite Lee. Right. So it's the time of the podcast where I thank you lot for joining me and you lot out there for watching. If you want to take part, hit us up on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter. Comment below, leave a like. What do you think of that story? And most importantly, don't forget to hit that bell. And we'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.
Yeah, guys.
So why was the Rani